All right. My goal today is to not say that's funny. Because I say that a lot.
I say a lot, right.
Right. Yeah. That's funny.
Right, it is funny.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try not to say that's funny. I'll just laugh. Because laughing conveys the same message.
That's right. I just did it.
Hey, I'm Tim C.
Hey, I'm Landon Blank.
You're listening to Hacking Concrete. So what have you been doing?
We have been on a onslaught of commercial projects.
I don't care for commercial work.
Why?
I don't like the schedule. I don't like the rush. I don't like that they just want you to get out of the way. They don't really care that much about what you're doing.
And we get screwed.
And we don't make any money at it. I mean, we get screwed a lot.
Do we make money at it? Probably.
I don't know if we make money, but we definitely feel like we get screwed.
I feel like it's screwed.
I put a poll on Instagram the other day. I just put a picture up of a commercial job we were doing. I was miserable.
Yes.
And I put a picture up and said, what do you like, commercial work or homeowner work? And like the vast majority was commercial work.
When I looked at it, it was like 78%.
Yeah.
Like my question is why? I know why I like it because we can get it out of there and it's not going to be picked apart, right?
Right.
That's about the only thing that's good about it.
Pretty much. I don't like waiting to get paid for 30, 60, 90 days, whatever.
Whatever. Yeah. Being a bank.
Yep. I don't like retainage.
What is retainage?
What is retainage anyways?
My gosh.
Retainage is the thing that they do to make sure you're going to come back, I guess, to fix problems.
We got retainage 2 years later on one project, right?
Yeah. Yep, we did.
Well, this is the deal. It would just crank right into the biggest problem we've had this summer. And I did just come off a commercial job where we got the right amount of time. It was great. No one messed up. But that was not the norm. So we did a firehouse, right? For the same contractor.
Yep.
And while we're doing the firehouse, he comes to you and I on the job site and says, hey, this other project, you guys bid on it. Why don't we just all include it and you guys do the whole thing?
Yeah, he claimed that we were higher on something on the epoxy part, and then he was going to give us the whole job so that one contractor does it all. That was what he said.
Correct. The problem herein lies, and I don't know how we start getting into this, but he goes, the concrete has already been poured.
Yeah, that's true. He did.
Right?
We had that when we were on the firehouse job. We specifically said we want to be at the pre-con meeting. We need to talk to the finishers and tell them how we need it to be done, because it's a fully exposed polished concrete job, which is the hardest of jobs to do.
Yes, and so for those that have not done it, when you in the commercial work, a pre-con meeting is crucial. Pre-construction meeting, so that you're there with the concrete companies and everyone there knows what's going on. The problem is we weren't there for that. In the specs, it said we had to be there, right?
It did say that, yes.
We also bid 2 types of polishing on this project. We bid salt and pepper, which is your typical polish, and then we did a fully exposed aggregate finish.
That's where you grind down through the cream on the top so you can see large gravel. It looks awesome.
Right. Awesome product. But once they start putting the budget together, they're like, oh, well, we have this in our budget to do a fully exposed aggregate. Well, the concrete's already poured.
Right.
So that in itself is, and you and I walked into the job. If you remember, you and I walked in there together and the concrete had been poured. And as soon as I stepped on the slab, I took my hard hat off and almost threw it because it was black.
Yes.
The concrete was black. Now, why is concrete black?
Black means the concrete has been troweled. It's super slick, and the longer you trowel the concrete, the harder the surface gets.
Which makes aggregate drop, cream rise.
Right.
Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cream rises to the top.
And so immediately we knew we had an issue.
Right, because when they do that, it's so hard that it becomes very difficult to get through it when you're grinding it to get down to the gravel.
Right. And so this is the problem Tim and I have. We don't like to put people in a bad spot, even if they don't mind putting us in a bad spot.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be done here, but we really felt that way, right? Like,
yes,
like
we
right
really
when
did.
we were on the project, because we could tell that he was upset about it. He was like, well, man, I've talked with you guys. I talked with the concrete
He's
finisher.
like, I told everybody, because this is not on me. I told everyone.
Yeah.
This should have been done this way, you know?
Right.
And you and I just were like, well, what do we do? We can't. Do we walk away? We actually talked about walking away, and we're like, we can't do that to this guy.
Right. We can't do it. We can't do it. Because they've been a good customer.
Yeah, they've been a good customer, and they would be in like the busiest time of all time for like getting people to come do work, and without somebody, and they needed to start right then.
Right. Which brings me to that Curb Your Enthusiasm. Remember that clip I told you about when Larry, everything the dude said, he was just like, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, I'll do that. Larry's like, yes, I'll do that. I'll do that. I don't know if you can put that clip in, but
I don't know.
But I felt like in that situation, instead of us, we didn't step up and we didn't just say, no, I'm not doing this. We're walking out.
Yeah, we should have done that. We should have said, we can't. We should have said, we'll do it, but it's going to cost more.
Yeah, we'll do it, but it's going to cost more. I'm sorry if you want to get somebody else.
Yeah.
But we didn't do that hard step.
No. And it wasn't because we're afraid of doing the step. It was out of a legitimate concern for people.
Sure.
Part of it is that we were nervous.
We're nervous, and I think we let personal get into business too much.
Yeah, we do. Definitely.
Because we want our lives to be just as easy as we can on projects, just like them.
Yeah, yeah, we do. Yeah. I guess we're faced with the idea of telling this guy who's, we're kind of friendly with, that somebody messed up. Not sure if it's you or who it is, but we're not doing this. And then he was going to obviously have a lot of trouble from that if we did that.
Right. So on top of that, then I call the guy who finished the concrete, right? Mm-hmm. And I said,
Good old boy club.
Yes. And I called him, and he was like, he was on a massive project. He stopped and answered me, and I said, hey, man, I'm over here at this place. What happened? He said, what do you mean happened? We knew you were polishing it. And I said, okay. Did you know I was getting exposed aggregate? He said, no way. We never knew that. No one told us that at all.
Yeah.
And then he goes, we had to hit numbers on that floor. And what's hitting numbers is like...
It means it's got to be a certain flatness.
Yeah.
Over the whole floor. It has to be a certain way.
In the specs. So when they hit numbers, what does that mean? They stay on it. They keep pushing aggregate down, keep working the surface to get the flatness they need.
Yeah.
Which is dumb. It's so dumb, and this is why the industry needs to change. We are flattening the floor anyway.
That's true. It was completely unnecessary.
So we something in the industry has to change to where you don't have to achieve numbers if you want full aggregate, because they can't do that.
Right. So that might be a little confusing for people who aren't in our industry, but basically when they pour concrete, there's a metric by which they do it, and it has to come out flat. Is that basically what it is?
Yes.
Hit numbers. Okay. And yeah, so they were just more concerned with it being flat and hitting those numbers than they were about the finished project. And I don't think that the architect cares. They definitely didn't care. From our meetings with them, they were just like, you're going to get to look this way because this is what we expect.
Yes.
They didn't care about the fact that it was going to be super hard, like for us to do it or for anyone to do it.
Right.
It was going to be like nearly impossible to do.
Right. And then the architect looks at us and he was like, well, it says right here in the specs, you said up to 1/4 inch grinding. You agreed to it in the specs. When you reach to 1/4 inch grinding, guaranteed on other spots of the floor, you're 1/2 inch.
Yeah.
Just to get to the look that's desired.
Yeah.
We being yes men had difficult dealing with that.
Yeah, we did.
What should we have done?
They, I guess backtracking a little bit, after we looked at that floor, that same day we had a meeting with the architect, and we went to that other school, and they're like, we want it to look like this school.
Yes. Yes.
And to which you and I were like, well, it's a little late for you to be telling us what you want it to look like. It's already been poured. Mm-hmm.
Right.
This meeting is like 3 months too late.
Right.
And oh man, I knew we were in trouble when we were walking down a hallway, and the job at this high school that they're showing us was impressive.
Yes.
It was spectacular. Whoever did it, great job. Mm-hmm. And he was walking through there, and he found one spot that was this big, about the size of my iPad. And he kicked it with his toe, and he goes, it looks like they could have spent a little more time grinding that spot. It just made me so mad. Because like we're standing in the middle of like 50,000 feet of exposed aggregate concrete, where I know the guy, I bet you the guy had a really hard time doing that job.
Yes.
And this guy is like, this suit is walking around pointing at a spot with his toe. And I'm like,
And I'm sorry, architects, because we get a ton of work for you guys. We appreciate it. However, lots of times, like, do you know that could have been a guy stepping there?
Yeah.
Stepping too long in one place,
The
pushing
guy that poured
aggregate
it, the
down.
guy that poured it probably stepped there and pushed aggregate down.
Yeah, or either a board that he was striking it with.
Yeah.
Like you typically see this to where they push aggregate down to where you cannot reach it because
They have these machines that reach out and they vibrate the concrete and pull the concrete back as they're pouring it. And when that machine sits still for a minute, like they probably had a pause in the truck pumping it in, and they just waited a second.
right. It's just
And
sitting
that
there.
board is just sitting there vibrating, and it just pushes the gravel down. So
Yeah.
there's a few spots on that job. I don't know about
Right.
ours, but on the one we looked at, there's a few spots in the shape of a board that didn't have any gravel.
But would the architect even know that? I mean, he doesn't know that for him to say that.
Yeah,
I mean, and before that, they had said this guy lost his ass
Yeah.
on this job.
they did.
And we're
Well, the worst part about that is that they said that they knew that guy had trouble, and they still went into this one without getting anybody involved.
without getting involved.
They
So
they took the same steps. Like, I don't know.
we are putting our mistakes out there so people know, okay, I've heard of this situation before. We're not doing what Tim and Landon did.
No, that's right. You should learn from our stupidity.
Learn how to not do stuff.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, when that guy, I won't get over that for a long time. That the architect pointing, I called him a suit a minute ago. Does that mean the architect pointing at a spot with his toe? That kills me.
So we move forward, and the GC goes, all right, look, let's just do a sample. Let's just get through it, and then we'll see what we can do.
I'll take care of you. That's what he said.
I'll take care of you. We do the sample, right? It turned out not that bad.
Yeah.
It was not that bad without edges. Please calculate edges on exposed aggregate. It's brutal. So then we moved through on the first phase, and it was okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were a week over schedule.
Yeah, we took a little long, and they were calling, a little panicky. But again, before we even started, we said this is going to take a really long time.
Right.
And they came up with this magical number of where we had to be done, and we're just like, I don't know. Maybe,
Another failure on our part.
maybe we can be done by then.
Before we start, this is what you chose as an owner. Okay, then we need to readjust the entire schedule.
Yeah.
Right now, before anything happens, we need to talk.
Most likely, we need to say it has to be open ended. Sorry.
It has to be right.
If you want this, fine. I can't tell you. We'll work 5 days a week, 10 or 12 hours a day, and we'll have our crews here. But beyond like that, I'm sorry. It takes however long it takes.
And we just didn't communicate that.
No, we didn't. We should have, but we didn't.
So we go into so we get that phase done, everything's cool, but then we move into the second phase. The second phase is even more difficult, even more burnt.
Right. And that's the second phase is really wavy too. That's the wavy one.
The wavy one burnt
Yeah.
and double the size.
Yeah.
Double the size. And it's also included, now we start moving into our epoxy phase.
Oh yeah, we're doing that. That's right. Do the bathrooms too.
Bathrooms, large kitchen.
That turned out to not be that big of a deal.
Well, we'll get to that later, but it was a big deal when you're trying to reach what you need to do in that kitchen.
Yeah.
And you have drywall guys in there throwing mud everywhere.
Oh yeah.
I mean, why does that have to be?
I don't know. It's like they set these schedules, but they do nothing to help you reach the schedule.
Yes, correct.
We ground the whole kitchen for the epoxy floor. We did ground the whole thing, and one day later it was covered in drywall mud.
Right.
So like here we are shot blasting it.
Right.
Like it's, I don't know.
So we're getting on this second phase, and we had lots of people in there grinding and grinding and grinding. Floor was turning out beautiful. Floor was exactly what they wanted. Timeline was getting crushed.
Yeah.
And that's where I was kind of like, I'm so frustrated right now. I'm so emotionally turned up about this scheduling and what's happening.
Yeah.
Tim, you need to give the guy a call. And then you haven't recovered from that phone call.
No, I haven't. No.
For like, still.
No, still mad about it. Yep. He was just like, his exact words that I keep hearing over and over are, I don't have any sympathy for Landon. I don't have any sympathy for Landon and for his timeline. And I said, but we told you that we needed to be there in the pre-con. We needed to be there to tell you how to finish it. And he said, I don't want to hear that anymore.
Right.
Because I'm done listening to that. He goes, it was spec'd. You bid what was spec'd, and now you got to perform.
Right. It's never a thing where, hey, let's work together on a team. There are new construction companies out there that really do that. Like, okay, how can we come together and make this work? Most of the time.
Yeah.
Don't you think most of the time still it's like, you got a problem, you need to get it done?
Yeah, I didn't like it because we told them before the whole thing started, hey, we need a pre-con. We need to show you how, be there when it's poured. We told them on day one before we started, when we had the opportunity to say we need to charge more and we didn't. We told them then, we should have been here. The schedule's going to be screwed up. So we've been over this, and we've said before we started that this is an issue. And now we get down to crunch time where we are pot committed to this job. We've spent a fortune on it. We haven't been paid a dime on it. Mm-hmm. And the guy's like ignoring all of those conversations and going back and saying, nope, you bid the spec. This is in the contract. You have to do it.
We have to do it.
And I just, taking that position, we screwed up in the beginning. We should have taken the hard position right away.
Yes.
We're trying to be nice to somebody.
Learn from us. It's business.
Yeah.
It's just business.
He was protecting his company, maybe himself, his company, whatever. Right? He was protecting something. And, and in hindsight, I think that, to be fair to him, in hindsight, I think that he was just trying to push us and make us go faster. Mm-hmm. And contractors do that a lot. They make up these timelines and they push these crazy things on you, just trying to get you to get out of there. It's not always really that hard of a schedule. It seems to be.
Right.
So what happened after that conversation? I called you and I was really upset about the whole thing. I wasn't, just felt like we were treated poorly and I was mad. Didn't want to be there anymore. Called you and as always, we figured it out. We figured it out
because we have a pretty good social media kind of base going on. We talk to a lot of people, and I was able to call Jay from Eno Supply. And what happens is we DM'd. I was saying I'm just not getting there. I'm not getting there, and he sent me some diamonds. I said, Jay, we're still not getting there. He's like, I don't, even he was like, what, man, I'm lost. So he came up, and he literally saw what we were dealing with, and he's just like, this is pretty insane concrete.
Yeah.
He set me up with some diamonds, which they did cut well. They cut better. Finally, I called him back and said, Jay, I'm not going to hit this thing. And so, he was very gracious to come up. They came up for a whole weekend.
Yeah.
They ground probably, had a first ground of probably 4,000 to 5,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Which is a big help, pushed us through. After you had that conversation with the contractor finally did what I asked him to do. I said, look, you need to go to the customer. You need to go to the owner.
Yeah.
And say, look at this product. I know you love it. We're not going to hit your timeline.
Right.
And he finally did it, and it finally turned out right.
It did, yeah. Well, it's so silly because this was like back in April. The school year is coming to an end. We're at a school. Like, you and I both know they don't need the building that bad.
Right.
So there's no reason for him not to have done that. But I think he wanted to... I don't know why he did that. I still don't know. And he never called us and told us he gave us more days either.
No, never did.
He just told me that after the fact. He told me after the fact that he said, I called whoever at the school and I said, if you want that product, then they need more time. And these aren't people that screw around. And these are the people we call to fix other people's mess ups. We've done it a bunch of times before. So these are the people you want there. They just need more time.
Yeah.
He did it and they agreed to it.
Yes. And it just, looking back, it's just our lack of communication.
Yeah.
Thinking that we would work hard and put our head down, no matter what the cost.
And we spent a lot.
Yeah.
It sounds like we just got through the job and did it like normal. They gave us extra time. We did it, but we spent a lot bringing more crews in. Mm-hmm. We some people
7 days a week.
Yeah, 7 days a week. Hotels. We paid Jay and them to come up. And we got it done. Nobody ever told us we were not in that big of a hurry, so we spent far more than we would have.
Yeah.
And all because we were nice in the beginning, and we didn't come out right in the beginning and say, all right, something has to change in the contract. We're not going to make it.
Right. So we're decades long into this business and still just that I'm really disappointed in myself for that. But
yeah, got to say no. Yeah, I don't know. And the strange thing was, after we finished up, I went back in there to get some equipment. Maybe 2 weeks later, there was nothing going on in there. Nothing.
I know.
There was no timeline. Well, you went in there this is 3 or 4 months later, and you went in there Didn't you go in there and measure for caulk?
Yeah, I just did.
Was there any stuff? I mean, could you?
No.
You still could have been working.
Nothing.
And this is August, and we finished the job on Memorial Day weekend.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. We're just too nice. It's not. You don't have to be nice. Commercial work, you don't have to be nice.
No, it is what it is.
It is all about money.
And there was probably a fear about losing the project. You're not going to lose the project.
There. I don't know why we had a fear, but we shouldn't have cared.
Yeah.
But yeah,
exactly. Don't care. Just walk away.
Yeah, we shouldn't have cared, and there was fear we're going to lose the project, and I don't know. I don't like to let people down, and you don't either. So that's why we did it.
And that's 2 times within a year that people even outside of our state have come to help. I just think that's really cool.
It is,
that we've had that happen on weekends where they just come in, and just help a ton, just to help us. They don't need to do it.
No, they don't. We had 2 guys come down from Jersey.
Yep.
And help us.
Adam from Vortex Supply.
Michael Gray. What's Michael's company?
Michael Gray works for Potomac Surface.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, they came down and helped on a job, and I don't know. It's really, really nice that social media, people kind of, we don't get any work from social. We don't really get much work from being on social media, but we get a lot of help.
Michael Gray only came down because he listened to the podcast.
That's funny.
It's like, oh, those guys. I know those guys. All right. But
yeah.
Anyway, stuff to think through with commercial contracts. It's just huge. Some of them go great.
Yeah.
But this was, so another example, when we were in the epoxy phase, we had, who was it? Who was the company? Duraflex. Webb comes in from Duraflex.
Yep.
He immediately says something we didn't even think about.
I don't remember that.
The lighting.
Oh, the lighting. Yeah.
We didn't have lights.
That was my favorite line. He said, if you install it in the dark, it gets inspected in the dark.
It gets inspected in the dark. That is fantastic.
Because he pointed out that there's always a specification in the architect's plans that says there has to be lighting provided. So we put that kitchen in the dark.
Right.
That was another thing. I texted 2 or 3 people over us for that company and said, hey, we need lights. We need lights. Multiple times, and nothing. Didn't care. Just wanted to get us out of there.
It's just so strange. So yeah, we just wanted to put this out there to say to learn from our mistakes. And
you have to say no.
Don't let it happen.
Yep.
Meanwhile, as I say that, I'm pretty much 100% commercial.
I hate commercial work.
You do probably what? 20% commercial?
Probably. Probably more than that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, probably more than that.
Yeah.
But I don't mind it when it's actually, I say that I hate commercial. I don't really mind commercial work, but I do mind it when the schedule is really tight, like on a school that has to reopen. I don't like them calling saying I need you here next week, because we're always booked out like 8 weeks.
That's right.
And people call us and they're like, we need you in 2 weeks, and we have to figure it out. Like, I really hate that. And so that's the thing I don't like. And the other thing I don't like is just that I don't want to be there for 2 months like you were. Mm-hmm. I have zero interest in being somewhere for 2 months like that. Mm-hmm. Just
the funny thing we've noticed too is when you have separate crews, and I don't know if this is just something that we need to be better planning, but when our guys come from the commercial side and they come into a residential side, they're like a freaking bull in a china shop.
Oh yeah, they are.
Whereas the residential guys are used to kind of stepping softly and realizing homeowners are different.
We're at a homeowner's house the other day with a brand new blacktop driveway, and one of our guys comes out with he had microfibered the dust off the floor, so it was just a microfiber covered in dust. He comes out and just starts banging it on the new driveway, putting this big dust pile on the driveway, and Troy about lost his mind. He just flipped out and yelled at that dude.
I love it.
He didn't know. I mean, he just didn't know any better. We do that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna rain. It's gonna rain.
Yeah, it'll rain and wash it off. Yeah. They're not used to being so close to the end user.
Right.
So, but yeah, definitely prefer the homeowners for sure. I'm probably the only person in all of construction that would. Well, I guess I'm not the only one.
Why do you think more people want commercial?
I think that there's like an image about it. People think it's like there's a prestigious thing. Is that how you say that word? Prestigious. Prestigious. I think it's about people feel like they're accomplished when they're doing these big commercial works, and it's true. I mean, we did the basketball arena, and that's that's one of the first things I tell people.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's definitely has there's a truth to it that you feel more accomplished if you do in these big jobs. I think when I tell some of my friends like what I do for a living, I tend to tell them, I work a lot at these big schools. I don't usually say that like, I do garage floors for homeowners.
Because but we know guys that have done nothing but kept their residential projects very small and very specified and very detailed for 20 some years and are killing it.
Yeah. Rick Lobdell, he does almost all.
Yeah.
You know what he told us?
Yeah.
It's pretty much all residential pools and he's just rolling.
And it's just so when I saw that on your Instagram, I was like, why in the world? Almost 80% of people prefer commercial.
Yeah, I do. I think people think the money's better in commercial too.
It's not the case.
I don't think it's the case.
Project size.
Well, it is. Yeah, it is better. I'm sorry. It is better. Obviously, you make better when you do a 20,000 foot job because we're just so efficient on a big floor. Like we did a 300 square foot garage floor. We finished it this morning. It took 2 days. And in the same amount of time, I could have done 3,000 feet.
Easily.
So, which is, I guess you do make more in commercial.
That's probably what it is.
But still, it's not worth it to me.
Right.
I like the peace of mind of setting my own schedule. Homeowners are so easygoing. For just today, like I had to email all of my prospective customers. I mean, all the people that I have booked for garage floors. I emailed all of them and said, hey, there's a delay because the polyaspartic stuff that we use is basically sold out in the whole country. Almost every brand is sold out of it. So I emailed all these homeowners, like 10 of them, and said, hey, I don't know what to tell you about the schedule, but you're in line and I'm going to get to you in order. Everyone's in order. And as soon as material comes in, I'll be there to do it. And every single one of them wrote me back within the hour. I was like, that's fine. We'll wait.
Yeah. And that's just not happening.
It doesn't happen in commercial work.
You should have planned for this 6 months ago. I'm like, well, yeah, we did. We got it scheduled, but
I did. To be fair, I ordered the polyaspartic while I was on vacation in July 4th weekend. And it's, what is it, like the 15th of August?
Right.
Around there. And yeah, still not in. Talked to the manufacturer. They're like, we don't have the raw materials. We have no idea when we're getting it. So,
yep. Can't tell you anything.
Anyways, if it was a commercial job, I don't know what would happen.
Yeah.
So anyways, we just thought that would be a good story for today.
Well, I wanted to talk about it because I just wish someone would. I wish I could have heard someone else talk about it.
Yeah. And
just, wait a minute. I've heard this before. Flags are going off in my mind. I'm not going to do this.
Yeah. It should have been I keep talking about it, but when that architect pointed at that one spot and was like, that particular, we should have known better. We should have said that, well, these specs are written this way. We should probably deal with this now.
Yes. And also don't forget that you are valuable as a contractor. I think sometimes I view myself and our business as like, you're lucky to even be on this project. And that's not the case.
We always feel that way.
We always feel that if you produce quality work, you are valuable.
That's true.
I would never forget when first time I went on a job, we're polishing and Terrazzo company comes in. The Terrazzo guys, they make the whole freaking job shut down. Like they put up walls. No one comes in here. They lay down all the rules. Whereas I kind of feel like we're just lucky to get a job.
Yeah.
It's not true.
No,
we have so much work.
I definitely feel that way.
But why do I feel that way?
I don't know.
But these dudes are like, hey, you want us to come do it? That's because it's so few. Yeah. But there's also few people that really produce quality work.
Yeah, that's true.
And so it's just this whole mind change, just this whole aspect of the approach just needs to get tweaked.
Yeah. We really have to not care if we get the job.
Right.
We have to get to that point.
Right.
Just have no emotional attachment at it whatsoever. None. I mean, I feel like that's our only way forward.
This is our business, is the way we like to run it, and it's the way kind of we want to run our life, and we don't want it to get crazy,
right?
And we got to walk away.
Can we? I guess that's a story for another time. Could we have? What would have happened?
Well, I said you did tell him, go find somebody else.
Oh, did I?
You did, and he was like. He just disregarded that statement at all and just ignored it and kept moving on.
That was a heated conversation.
Yeah.
I actually didn't say a whole lot on that conversation with that guy. I just kind of listened, but I will never get over it though. I will never get past that.
And again, I think about that Jocko and he, extreme ownership, own things. We need to communicate better. I need to communicate better.
Yeah.
So communicate. That's it. I
guess extreme ownership. It was our fault, 100%. It was in the specs, and we knew it. We were just being nice. So
right,
100% our fault. But I just can't get past that. I have no sympathy for Landon. Oh man. Anyways, so I hope that was interesting.
Speaking of contractors, what are we going to?
We're going to the Association of...
This?
Yeah, the ASCC. I don't even know what that stands for.
Association?
American Society of
Concrete
Contractors? Maybe?
ASCC?
We're members of this fancy concrete group.
ASCC.
We pay to be a part of it every year. And for a couple years, we didn't know why we did it. Just being honest. We just did it because everyone else was doing it.
Hey, let's be honest today. This is honest.
Yeah. So we pay to be part of this thing. And we didn't know why we were doing it. And we do now, actually, though. We met Rick Lobdell, and he was on our last podcast. We interviewed him, and I think he's on the board, the Decorative Concrete Council, which is part of ASCC. And they actually asked us to come up and record a few podcasts at the conference in St. Louis this September.
And we had heard it first from, I'm not sure if anyone listening knows about Lloyd Concrete.
Yeah.
But Stevie Ray and his dad had said...
I guess they were all we joined. They just said, you need to join. And we just...
Yeah, and they said we needed to be part of the council. We need to get on the decorative side of things because they were.
Yeah. So...
Oh, but we do get great emails. Like, when you're part of this association, you do get emails coming in about problems on job sites, which are crazy what people deal with.
I didn't actually look at any of those the first year. But once I realized what they were...
Oh, my gosh,
it's so helpful. Man. You basically get... You get to see in real time these discussions about major projects, kind of like we talked about here.
Yes.
And you see it as it unfolds, and it's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Really learned a lot.
And the problems that we as contractors deal with are some of it is pennies compared to what we dealt with on that project we were talking about earlier. I mean, some people deal with some crazy problems. Yeah,
they do. But it's cool though. I'm glad that we're part of it. I'm glad that we did it. I don't know why we started it, but I'm glad we're in it, and I'm pretty psyched to go up there. St. Louis.
Yes.
Anyways, so we'll be doing that next month, and there might be another show between now and then, maybe, if we get around to it.
Depends on how many screw ups we can talk about.
Yeah.
Actually, we could do another one right now.
Okay.